v.h.s.x? What do you mean?
All right, everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. We're going to be doing a match review for coaching, which is, it's been a while, you know. Apologies if I sound a bit nasally. Unfortunately, we do get sick. You know, we're human, unfortunately. So that is one of the downsides of being being ourselves, you know. being human as we get sick. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive in. We're gonna be doing a match review here, covering Springtrap. I'm gonna talk about the build and everything once we get into this. All right, so let's take a look here. So we have Unrelenting, Merciless Storm, Deadlock, and well, I mean, I don't know what's called now. Is it No Holds Barred, and Lightborn, and then we have, like, it looks like the pizza paper plate add-on, and it looks like some kind of, like, I forgot what the party one does, which makes sense, you know. I like the Deadlock use, and I like Lightborn. Unrelenting, you know, I would say if you have more perks, I would just try using, like, Brutal Strength. You know, Trapper has that. It's free, you know what I mean? You don't even have to worry about that one, and it's just, it's a good all-arounder. Merciless is kind of like, if you really wanted to use something from Sadako, I would probably say, if you do have Sadako, I would say you probably can throw on, like, Call of Brian. It's not like the #1 slowdown, but it's better, you know, than Merciless, which made, like, sometimes get value but not always. Like, you have to be, like, right as they're at 99ing the gen to get it to, like, block. So it's not something I recommend usually, but I would say I'll also say, though, like, you're kind of, like, taking a good amount of time. I think that's almost 10 seconds. You're wasting, like, a good 5 to 7 seconds, like, on that screen there. Like, I would say just get started and start walking the second you spawn in. That's just, like, which, you know, it sounds silly, but it's true. Like, you know, like, you got to make it a habit where it's like you spawn in, you're like, boom, I got to get into this, like, because every time, like, every second matters in a game like this. So and this right here kind of proves my point. Like, notice that, like, the gen is almost like 30% or something like that. Like, that, those precious seconds that were spent, like, you know, like, looking at the lobby screen when you paused, or not paused, but pressed options, and then, like, you know what I mean, like, that's extra time that you don't have, you know what I mean? So far so good. Pretty good M1 off the bat. So hold on, let me go ahead and rewind it a little bit. Gotta cut. I would say, like, going for a shot like this, you want to be a bit more patient, okay? Just try to hold down your LT and just kind of wait a second. Like, you just kind of, like, because I noticed that a lot of Springtrap players who do land a lot of their shots, they usually are a little more patient. They'll wait a second, kind of hold on to it. Maybe they'll, like, cancel it. That's another thing that I see people do as well, like, so that they can get a much better shot. But at the same time, it's always good to, like, be able to go for shots so that you can practice and improve in that sense. So that's always important as well. So pretty good tracking so far. A little out of range. You want to be a little bit closer usually, but that's how you learn. There you go. So I'm not really sure why they DC'd, but I'm like, all right. So in this situation, I wouldn't recommend stopping to kick the gen, because by the time you vault in, you're gonna see right here, they're right here. If you had vaulted in, like, notice she's like right here and behind the gen. You vault in, she's right there on your right hand side. That could potentially lead to a hit, but because you stopped to kick, now she's gonna rotate all the way around the shack, and now you don't get a hit anymore. It would have been good to vault in and just immediately try to hit her instead, especially because you don't have any any slowdowns that involve kicking. Like, you have Merciless, which is a passive, and you have Deadlock or No Holds Barred or whatever it's called, which is also a passive. So you're not, so neither one of those perks pertain to actually kicking the gen. So it would be better to just like ignore the gen for now, get the hit, and then if you want to walk back and then kick it, that would be more efficient. In order to be able to get the hit, which is important. That also means that one less person is going to be able to save, because this one's injured, so she can't really save without going down. The other two are probably on gens. They would have to get off to attempt to save. But by kicking it now, you actually miss out on the hit, so that actually can cost you later down the line in the match. As you can see, like, now you're chasing her again, but now she's still healthy. If you had, you might have been able to get the hit earlier, which would have made this chase faster. That was a good attempt. Nice. The FOV text don't work. That's good to see. One thing I will say though is that you might need to take more time to kind of like improve at the game sense and tracking. That comes with time, of course. But with this, like, if you don't know where they went, I would highly recommend just leaving the area, because you don't want to take all the time to like look around and like stand around and then as they do that, they're healing, doing the gen, yada yada. So I would just say, hey, if you lost track of it, just leave. Be like, I gotta go. Like, we gotta move on to the next. You don't have the time to do that. Now, one small thing I might recommend you do as well that might help a little bit with visibility is going into the settings and looking for the FOV slider and maybe increasing the field of view so that you can have like a little bit of a better sight, because with the default FOV, you end up getting a lot of the it's like, at least to me, it's very cluttered with like your weapon takes up like half of the screen, and then like the HUD takes up the other half, and it feels like you might not be able to see as clearly like, you know, in comparison. It's a small detail, but it's something I recommend personally. I always play on like the highest field of view when I play DBD, so that's what I would say. It might help a little bit with visibility, keeping track, because, you know, if you're only seeing like a small portion of your screen and it'll say like on the far right, you may not see that because of the field of view. So this is another example of, I would say, like, you're wasting time trying to kick this gen that only has about 5%. I would have just ignored this gen and went over to the Nancy, because you need it down as it is. She's already injured as well. You know, you want to like kind of shift away from this. Keep in mind, you don't have any perks that involve kicking, so you don't really need to actually kick anything, because these perks are supposed to work in the background. So you're swinging a little bit early there. I would not try to, like, you know, cross map the lunge here. Like, the time that you want to swing is a little bit closer than this. I know it's like, it seems like you can land it, but by the time you attempt the lunge, she's gonna make the distance way past that. As you can see, even right here, like, you ended up swinging this way and then looking that way. So, like, I wouldn't recommend like trying to do that. I would just say, like, if you're closer, like, I would say like a little bit closer, like 1 or 2 meters, you probably will be able to land it. I think both parties here made a mistake, but I think it works out.
There.
Now over time you'll get a little bit more like you'll get better with like picking up and stuff like that. What I usually recommend, you know, I'll use it in the, I was gonna say R1, but it's RB on this controller. Usually, like, when I'm like trying to find somebody, I'll walk around and press RB, like, just so that I don't have to waste time looking out at the floor, because the lighting in the game is pretty bad. So I would definitely just try to focus on you know, just pressing a button, seeing if you could grab somebody off the ground.
Goodbye.
And that's a good move, going for the door. It is one of his abilities to be able to teleport. In this situation, I would want to check like either door number 1, door number 4, or door number 6. Just judging by the fact that they're the farthest away from you, that's usually the gen that they want to do first. Because of just the fact that they want to stay away from the action so that they can get the gens done. So a good move there, checking number 4. So nobody's there. Immediately back in the door. Yep. Smart move, smart move. So it seems like they're on this. Kind of messed up the swing there. Definitely could have gotten it though. But that you learn it with time. You learn it with time. That's what the I think that's what Unrelenting's for, right? That's what we're here to improve. You know what I mean? Good read on that. That was a good read. But because you knew that she was already going to make the bad vault, you immediately want to start going back out the door again, because it's kind of like when you're going against a. So you are going against a bot here, so you already know that the bot is going to exhaust all the vaults on a window. So it's smart, but you have to make sure that you immediately start walking back out, because the bot usually will vault immediately. All right. So good hit there. Good hit there. Swung a little bit late there. If you had started swinging about, let me see. Because the pathing was good, but if you had held it a little bit more to the right, you would have caught her. But the thing is, like, you had started walking, then pressed it like a second or two afterwards. Right about here, you want to start walking diagonally, like to the top right of the joystick. Right about here, because look right here. By the time you like start turning around, she's already hitting the window. Like, you want to be able to cut her off and get to the window before her. Because right about here, I think you started swinging. So like, as you can see, she's already like through the window by the time you even turned around. So if you had went for the window first, you might have been able to actually get the M1 if you had gotten the pathing right. I'm gonna show it again. So about here, this is what I'm gonna show. Right about here, which I'm hoping it's you know, hopefully I'm not blocking it, but I hope I'm not blocking it, but the like right about like where, you know, the grass is where you want to kind of be at, like where, you know, I'm gonna put my mouse near it, like right there. You kind of see it. So right about there is where you want to be starting to walk. So that's important. I'm not entirely sure what the Nancy was doing there, but But you got the down, so that's good for you. You definitely need that. Now, this is why I would swap out Merciless Storm, because we've pretty much never seen any value from Merciless. I would just use something like that's like free, like Brutal Strength from Trapper. Like, that's a free option. You could also try if there's something in the shrine like that you can get. I mean, hell, like you could even like, considering that like that Gift of Pain perk, like that hook, that surge one, like that one is like a free option. I would try that one too. You know, that one's free, so like that's a good one to use as well. You could also even, well, no, wait, they took that off. I was gonna recommend another perk, but they took it off the general perks. I forgot about that.
It will end soon.
So far, so once again, I gotta point out, we're stopping to kick the gen, and that's costing us a lot of distance. You don't want to stop and kick gens from here, because there's a person directly next to it, and like I've stated, you don't have any perks for kicking. So you're wasting a lot of time and distance that could be dedicated to trying to get an injury on the person, which is way more important, considering that Springtrap with his axe is moving at like 110% or 4.4 meters per second. So he's already quite slow when he's holding his axe in his inventory. So you already are going to be slow as hell. So like they're going to be able to pre-run it and make the next pallet, and also make a little bit more distance because of like Springtrap being slow while having the axe. So what I would recommend is like having to, at least from like the distance, like before you get here, like about here, maybe threaten to use the axe, like you know, try to like charge it up, see what they do. And even if anything, you could launch it so that you can start moving at 4.6 or 115% movement speed again. So you're just a little bit faster, so it can help you make a little bit more distance. Now, he just dropped the pallet as well, by the way. So he was lost out of his mind. Like, you probably could have been able to go over there and also get rid of a really good pallet. So that is just overall a really good decision to make. Which, this is why I would have recommended to just gone for the hit initially, because you could have gotten the pallet out sooner as well. Now, obviously, your tracking does need improvement. That'll happen with time, of course. I noticed that like these types of like survivors will most likely try to be like as stealthy as possible. I just realized that you don't have the axe in your inventory, so my bad about earlier. But it still applies, just not in that particular situation. Okay, so right here, you got a little too excited. You see them right here, you want to try to get up as close as you can, because you see one right here, one right there, and you got to make a decision right now. If you're standing here, you're not making the window, but Nancy's on your left. Got a little too excited though, a little too excited. You can't be, you don't want to swing like that. You want to, because you see right here, which also, this is a little tidbit that nobody really talks about. You can adjust like where your swing kind of lands depending on where you turn your camera. So if you're gonna lunge and you're looking into the wall or looking into a car or something else, it's not going to connect at all. But if you are starting your swing in the wrong direction, you can almost lead your hit into them, because your swing like sort of hitbox lingers a little, so you can kind of like, if you're about to miss, you can kind of push it into them a little bit. And it can connect. It's I don't know if it's like a server thing, but I know it has happened, especially because, as you know, I started on console, so I had to deal with all the controller stuff. So as you know, got a little trick there. But obviously you have to be close enough too. Now in this instance, she's already out the door and then turning to the right, so like you're not gonna reach that. Now I would have continued to follow her around the wall, but you stopped and then went back inside, so now you just lost a bunch of distance. And she's on death hook, so you want her dead, especially at 2 gens. Nice, all right. I mean, that's, you know, it's a good try. All right. So you don't want to swing too early like that, because mind you, you don't see this the bot. You don't see them. So you're kind of swinging at the air when you want to see them first, then you swing essentially. Because you may have seen other creators like or other killer players that will like pre-swing. But I wouldn't recommend doing that like when starting out or going against a bot or something like that, because the bot will automatically counter what you do, because that's what they're programmed to do. So they will automatically counter. If you go left, they'll go right no matter what. So the only way that I would say is the most effective way to clean up a bot is like on Windows, because they get stuck on those and they like to vault all of them a bunch of times. So that's usually your best bet. Or if you're able to clean up the bot with a quick axe throw. But in this instance, of course, I wouldn't recommend like trying to blind swing through. And the thing I noticed is that you keep like turning toward the wall or turning into a different direction that isn't where the survivor is, which is going to cost you a lot of distance and a lot of time. So, but you'll get, the thing is that you're going to be able to improve at it. That's why you continue to do it, you know what I mean? See, that right there was good. You just had to be a little bit closer, but you would have been able to turn and then get the hit right there. That was a good example. You would have been able to get that. Just got to be a little bit closer. So that I think you would have got, but you turned into the left. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show it again. It's right about here. Like you would have got it. Like, because right about here, you would have got it. Because right here, you see, like you're actually going in the direction, like you're about to breach it, but then you turn to the. You kept holding left on the right stick, so that's gonna make you turn all the way to the left. You don't want to do that. You want to make like a fine adjustment, especially when using a controller. Like I personally play on the highest sensitivity. I found that to be the most enjoyable for me. It may not be for everybody, so if you want to like adjust your sensitivity, you can do that too. See what works for you. Maybe you want to try like a lower sense, so that like, you know, your inputs are a little bit less impactful when you push in the directions, you know, and stuff like that. So, okay, there you go.
Yes.
Now, my only concern, obviously, is that you did have the Nancy who was on death hook by the shack. You probably would have been able to down her and actually gotten a kill. But because you hadn't followed through with her, she was able to run off, and our gen got completed. So I would have recommended continuing to follow through with the Nancy to make sure that she dies, so that you actually get your kill. So in this situation, you definitely want to go back toward the hook. There's way too many people alive, I think, to be able to intercept the exit gate, but I definitely would want to focus on either getting the bot or the Nancy. In this situation, the bot, of course, so that you can actually get a kill. So what I'm noticing is you keep like looking to the right hand side. I think I kind of seeing like the cogs turning, because you see them run to the right, so you're like, oh yeah, they're gonna run all the way over there, and it's like, you gotta keep in mind that like this is still a tile, and even though it's a bot, the bot is programmed to go, okay, there's a pallet here, so I'm gonna use this. So in this instance, like you're looking too much to here. You gotta assume that they're gonna stay in this. Now, if they hold W, that's a whole nother story. Then obviously you follow through. You follow after them, of course. But in this instance, it's a bot. So the bot will either double back or they're going to stay by this pallet in order to try to vault it. And because you kept like committing to the right-hand side, now you're looking all the way over there. And then like now you're not going to know where they went. As you can see, the bot is still here. You can see by this explosion here. The bot is still there. So in this instance, like you just got to assume that, especially if it's a bot, they're going to want to go to a window or a pallet. That's like what they're programmed to do. And even more so, like, because you keep like pushing all the way to the left over here when you don't want to do that. If they're over here, you got to start going in toward that direction and then seeing if they decide to cut left or right. But if you commit all the way to the hill and then turn around, now they have the full opportunity to run away. So that wouldn't be that's not a good move. And now you're leaving. You don't want to do that, because that bot would have at least got you a kill, because they're already injured and on death hook. You could have got a kill from that. You would have at least had one, which is better than 0. Now they're opening both gates. Now the thing is like I have my headphones on, so I'm listening to the right hand side, and I heard the horn of the gate open, and that's on the right hand side. So if you see that the lights aren't on and no one's there, turn to the other one and see if they're there. But this one, I mean, well, I couldn't see it because it was a little bit dark. But either way. Nice. Hold on. Yeah, you kind of messed up here, I think. Because you kept like kind of like standing there for a while. And this is what cost you. Because if you just press grab axe, you would have pulled her out of the gate. And you would have had her on your shoulder. But because you like, I don't know if you like held it down and went to lunge, I think. But like when you have the interaction that says RT grab axe, you don't want to hold it down because it's going to make you lunge. You want to be able to grab by just like tapping it. You don't want to like hold it down. You just want to click it like just one press. And then you should be able to grab them with the animation. And mind you, when you do the grabbing axe animation and you scream in their face, you can't get blinded from that. Like you're completely immune to blinds when you do that, so you'll be fine. But because you had lunge, it actually made her fall into the exit, and you didn't have the add-on that really, I don't think it, well, it's supposed to, well, there's an add-on that's supposed to block the gate if they have it in their back, which you would have got, but I think you lunged. Yeah, you're like, I think you lunged or something like that. So I think that is what cost you that grab there. So in this situation, you might want to like just kind of go around and kick a pallet or something, because you're not going to be able to really get anybody else. Because the second gate is already open, so they're just going to run to that one instead. They already hear your terror radius. So let's go ahead and move forward. So let's take a look at the builds here. So the builds were surprisingly meta, you know, which is interesting because they had flashbang, resilience, the head-on, and quick and quiet. So they had like a head-on flashlight build for this person. This person had a gen rushing build with deja vu and a built to last with the commodious, and they DC'd, by the way, which is crazy. Dwight had the deja vu and proof thyself, which gives you, that's like, if you stack these, that's 12% plus another 10%. That's over like 32% repair speed. Nancy had the ghost notes, vigil, sprint burst, and the fixated, I forgot what it's called now, self-aware, I don't remember. But either one, the name got changed like twice. So like, so the takeaways for this match obviously is, one, like, you're gonna get better over time. You want to be able to, you're gonna get your awareness up. You're gonna get there in time. and I believe in it. Now, one like the couple things was obviously like you're kicking the gen when you could have gotten a hit, especially like with the distance. And be a little more patient. You know, I know you get a little excited. You're like, oh man, I'm gonna stab that guy, but like you gotta be a little, you gotta be a little more patient with it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you lunge too early, you're gonna miss a lot of distance, and you know you don't want to have unrelenting on forever. You know what I mean? You want to be able to expand out and use other perks that can complement the character better. But overall, I would say like just potential there. So that's one of the tips I would recommend. Another thing I would say is the tracking, like tracking the survivors and stuff like that. You'll also get that with time, but try to like learn a little bit more about it. Try to practice, you know, understanding like awareness and things like that of what like where they are. Like, and some of the examples that I was showing, like the bot specifically was in an area with a pallet and a window, and you were looking all the way over to the right. But the thing is that like the bot especially is programmed to want to stay by a pallet or a window or whatever have you. So the bot was right there in that location. You want to walk towards it, because as you walk in towards that direction, you might end up seeing them run to the left, run to the right. They were injured as well, so you could hear it if you have headphones on. So these are important things to keep in mind. So hopefully that's helpful. And I'm going to try to also you know, do some reviews for the other ones individually, so that we have like all of them well-rounded and whatnot. Let's get into the next one. All right, that was good. That door placement is wild. The fact that they got a door all the way up there is wild. I'm like, dog, like who's gonna be able to go up there? Okay. Bit of a bold choice, but understandable. It's a little tricky because we don't know where the hell they are. I think, well, you want to run to here because you have Merciless, so the gen got blocked on the left. So, you know, as much as I don't recommend using Merciless, if you do have it and it does pop like this and there's no gens completed, that means that Merciless is activated, so you want to get over there. So I will say like quick tidbit, if it's blocked, you can't kick it, just so that it saves you a little bit of time. Now the thing is, there's an explosion on the left there. What I would have just recommended was just to go all the way over there, because by the time you get in the door, walk through the security room, come out the other door, they're most likely running somewhere else completely. So if you decide to go into the door, you're gonna end up losing them, so you don't want to do that. I would just say try to get into a chase as soon as possible, because notice like a gen is 99, like, because remember Merciless activates at 90%, so that means that one gen is already at 90%, and there's probably other ones also ready to go as well. So what I would say is just start trying to find somebody, especially if you see an explosion or something like that, you know, or something. You need to get into a chase as soon as possible. Hopefully you can, because you need to be able to cut down on some of the time here. I'm not sure what she's doing. One thing I also have, I'm also noticing as like a little habit is like every time you like you either hit or like you'll like kind of stop, which is like right here. You stop moving to look around. What I would recommend is you just continue to keep walking. Like you don't want to make it a habit that you like stop and turn, because like if you do that, you lose a lot of distance, and also you kind of lose a bit of your momentum when with walking, which sounds crazy, but it's kind of true. Like, you know, because depending on the direction they're going, you might have been able to, you know, get a little bit closer and probably gotten a hit. But as a result, you know what I mean? Like now you've lost it completely. So I like even in this situation, I would say, which obviously, like I've said, it comes with time, like game sense and things like that. But I would say like a rule of thumb, especially like for like the basics of killer, is just to assume that they're probably going to be on a far gen 9, like at least like I would say 80% of the time. They're probably going to be on a really far gen. I would usually check those first, usually because it's like the farthest away from the action. They have the they have the least chance of being interrupted. So if you go to that gen, you have a better opportunity to find somebody. So that right there was good. You like I feel like there was a moment there where you're like, I gotta kick this. But you fought against it and said, nope, I'm gonna get a hit. And that's smart. Good job. There was like a moment. He was like, I gotta kick it. But no, don't do it. Not yet. You wanna get you down. Now this right here is something you need to improve on. Where it's like you're in the chase with them, you kind of know where they're gonna go. You're starting to counter it, like in the sense that you understand how to counteract this particular like loop or tile. But like once they're out of sight, you completely like don't know where they go, in the sense that like you just kind of give up and go, oh, I don't see them anymore, and then you just kind of walk away. You don't want to do that when you're going against a survivor. You want to try to like sort of think in their head, like kind of imagine if I was in their position, where would I go? And from there, I think is how you can then get into like predictions almost as to what they're going to do, because you can think and go, well, if I'm standing there and I ran to the right or I ran to the left, she's going to want to go to the right, or she's going to want to go to the left. So in that situation, she saw you go left. Like, she has a third person camera. She could just see you for like right there in front of her face and go, all right, I'm gonna go left then. And then because you committed to the left and then no one was there, you just completely left and went somewhere else. And that's costing you a lot of time and distance in chase, because you need to get it down. Like, that's, you know, the main goal of any chase is to get it down, and to get it down quick so that you can then begin a new chase, or you know, try to get them off of gens and stuff. So in this instance, I would like, you want to try to like sort of keep in mind, like if you know, step outside of yourself and go, if I was them, where would I go? Right? And as you can see, like a lot of them are like making explosions and things like that. Like, they're not really being very stealthy, which gives you a lot of information as to where they're going. Now, another thing I'm going to mention as well, which I noticed like it was a smart move, that you check the lights and to see if they're being progressed. If you do have a headset on or headphones or something like that, you can actually hear the noise of the gen going off. And in this instance as well, somebody missed a skill check all the way over here. You have undetectable as well. I would have recommended you walk over there, because I mean, you might have been able to be spotted, but say they aren't looking in your direction, and say you may hold more to the left side when you approach and you're undetectable. You may be able to catch somebody off guard, you know what I mean, because they don't hear you because of undetectable, which Springtrap has every time he leaves the door. So might be a thing to keep in mind. But that was a smart move. Like, that's something a lot of people know about. Check the lights. They don't always do that. Okay. They wouldn't have gotten on the locker because you would have been able to hear the noise. They started walking. And the reason I know that is because they started running toward, like, you can tell by the scratch marks, because I noticed that you're trying to look over to the right, but you got to keep in mind their path, right? So the scratch marks are going left and they stop. That means that they most likely started walking to the right. So the way that you want to approach it is you walk from the side right here, keep looking at the scratch marks, and then you want to either like look to the left and cut to the right, but you don't want to commit to this direction like, oh, I'm gonna look all the way over there, like, because by the time you do that, or even more so because your field of view I think is at the default 90 field of view, you won't even be like, you can see from even like when like from this angle, well, you kind of can't obviously because I'm blocking it, but from this angle here, you know, like we're on with the perks are, you can't really see anyway, like it's really hard to see. So I would say that from this point, you want to like either like, because they like, well, hard to say though, because I couldn't even see it. I think it's FOV, but they're not going to be in a locker. Like they would have, but and because you're taking the time out to do all of this, they're going to be pressing the generators and stuff like that. It's a trap that I know a lot of new players kind of fall into. Because logically you go, well, they have to be in the locker, but like it's, you know, this game isn't exactly the most logical, especially when dealing with like people that like survivors that have very strange ways of hiding. There goes some info there. So one thing I have to say is that there's two forms of information you want to keep track of. One is scratch marks, two is pathing, three is definitely the audio. Now, in this instance, you got scratch marks, you know where they're going. I do know that maybe in this instance, I'm not sure if you'll be able to land the axe. I feel like you can, but maybe you can. But like Springtrap mains can probably let me know, but he just pre-dropped God Pallet. I would have broken the God Pallet because it's Shack Pallet, and it's one of these, like the Shack is one of the strongest tiles. I would not have vaulted that, mainly because it's the Shack, and as you can see, she knows, okay, he didn't break it, so I'm gonna run right back inside and then vault again. And you can hear like you hear that on the right hand side, so like, you know, she's gonna be running back in there, and like I predicted, essentially she's gonna try to vault it again, which you can see she's right there. Well, I mean, I don't know if I'm I'm blocking it with my, god damn it. God damn it. God damn it. Oh man. Oh geez, I'm blocking it. Hold on. All right, anyway, so right here you can see like they're like slow vaulting over the God Pallet. It's probably going to look a little bit more clear on your screen, like when you either look back at the replay or whatever have you, but this is something that you can, this is something you could cross-reference. So I was right on that point. Yeah, she was definitely there. Right here, you're getting it, like you're understanding it well. Now the only thing is that there's a gap, I believe, between like where your axe, like this wall, like I think there's a gap between this wall and this other like piece of like card cube things. You might have been able to get her sooner, and I think there really is a gap there, because I don't think this is like a big wall. I think you legit can walk through that. Now this Fung Min is more competent, but you still want to be able to follow through here with the scratch marks. Because keep in mind, like I know like another habit I see a lot of newer killers do is like they'll try to like follow the scratch marks directly. I do not recommend doing that all the time because of the fact that scratch marks are so fickle and if that's the right word for it, and very unpredictable in a lot of ways. Like sometimes they'll disappear way too soon, or the lighting fucks it up, or the color, or something like you know. And what I recommend usually is like use it as a slight of a guide, but it's not your end all be all, right? Because what you want to be able to learn is to be able to predict pathing and also to be able to counter pathing. So from this side, right, instead of following to the left, you want to follow to the right, because keep in mind, judging just off of momentum and how that works, if you hold in your like that direction to the right where the hook is above me, where the hook is at, you want to hold into that direction, because if her back or side is against the back wall of the map, she has no choice but to walk either into you or have to walk behind you. And if that point, you'll be able to knock her down because she has nowhere else to go. But if you follow her directly the same path, then she has the full map to go to. So I know that's something that a lot of people may struggle with. And like this right here, going this way is a big no-no. You don't want to do that. You want to follow along on the right-hand side. You want to do that because as you can see, now you're looking to the right. You don't want to do that because you went to the left, now you literally have no idea where she could have gone. You want to stay on the right-hand side so that she only has like one direction to two to go to. And now you're losing track of her. You see what I'm saying? So like if you implement the tip that I'm giving you, I feel like you're going to be able to track a lot easier, because you're not thinking about following the path directly. You're thinking about how do I counteract the path they're trying to go, especially like if you take into account the map where you're at, stuff like that. Comes with time, of course, but it's something that if you learn now, by the time you start reaching like the higher numbers of hours or whatever have you, you're going to be set. You're going to pretty much you're going to be able to counteract a lot of the stuff. And as you can see, now she makes the entire map, like I had said. So good hit. So she's waiting there. Runs to the right. Okay. Good. Okay. Good recall. Kind of messed up there. I think a habit that I keep seeing is that you're like moving the right stick a lot when you're trying to M1. You don't have to like do that. Like, you see what I'm saying? I'm gonna slow it down so I can try to show you what I'm talking about. It's right about here. So about here, you're walking normally, right? Good, like good recall, beautiful, perfect. They're right in front of your face, you swing, and look at that. Do it again. I'm gonna show you again. Because you're turning to the left, then the right, and then it's causing the swing to not connect properly. If you're gonna swing, you gotta stay in your one, like, you know, your one direction essentially, and you want to commit to where you're gonna swing at. Because if you don't, that's what happens. Now, obviously, aim assist comes into play. Obviously, the hitbox of the rock comes into play, so that also can contribute. But it doesn't help that if you're going to be like swinging that kind of way, because then that's going to cause those things to get worse. Like, you want to try to be like, you know, be as consistent with it as you can, so that like if there is an issue, you can go, well, that was aim assist, not my fault. You know what I mean? Now, once again, you're losing track of them. And I think, like I've said, it's because you're trying to follow the scratch marks completely. And that's something that I would say take a note of. Do not do that anymore. Now that you know that you're doing it, now is the time to not do it anymore. You don't want to follow it like perfectly to a T, because survivors, their entire goal is to throw you off and to try to get you to make mistakes and to lead yourself off into the sunset. You don't want to do that. You want to be able to think from their perspective, okay, if I'm going right, they're probably seeing me go right, and they're gonna want to go left, so I'm gonna go left, and then, you know, kind of have that mentality. Like, hopefully that makes sense. That right there is another key moment that I think you would have been able to take advantage of. Because right about here, if you're walking in this direction, you already assume, okay, they're going to the right. Let me go to the right. But you decided to like look over there, then back over here, and then that's what causes you a lot of distance. Also notice, I'm gonna be quiet so you can hear it again. I'm gonna play it again. I'm gonna play it one more time. So that noise right there was because she was slow vaulting, right? So while you were looking around over here trying to find the next scratch mark, she's going behind you and vaulting. That's why I say like the big tip I'm gonna give you for this match is to try to get used to thinking from their perspective on how they're gonna counter what you're gonna do, which is kind of crazy to say. It sounds like it's a big task, but it's pretty easy, because if you see the scratch marks going into one direction and you already know, okay, they're gonna go to the right, and if the scratch marks stop, they're either behind you or they're trying to hide somewhere. And in this instance, she decided to stay on that little T of the I think it's like some kind of jungle gym. She stayed like around that T-shaped jungle gym part, and then slow vaulted behind you. Good at one. Okay. Right here, I'm like, here's another example of what I'm talking about, right? Now, you're looking over here, but the problem is that they're not over there. Like, they're not going to be running over there because there's still a pallet and a window combination on your right-hand side. So, in this instance, and you can even see the scratch marks right there next to the pallet, but I'm not sure if it's controller drift or just like you're moving your controller as it is. But you're looking over to that direction, and then they're over here. That's my main tip again. We're touching back on it. Like, try to see if you can predict where they're gonna go, and you'll be able to get it in time. Like, but I would say once you start working on it and you think about it, like, okay, they're probably gonna go here. This area like has a pallet. It's safe. Da 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 da. And you're probably gonna be thinking like, okay, how do I know where the pallets are? That comes with time, of course, as well. You know, as you go through the maps, you're gonna start to see that certain areas have pallets every time you go there. Like boom, 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 pallet, pallet, pallet. And over time, you're gonna start to remember, oh yeah, there's always a pallet by that crane thing, whatever it's called. Like, you'll be able to remember that.
Up you go.
Here's another one of those examples that I was saying before. Because you're stopping to, because you're stopping, you're losing track of them. You want to be able to continue moving because you can move while you're getting your hit cooldown. I would say you want to continue, remember, you can move around while you're swinging and stuff like that. It's a bit slow, but you can't do it, and it allows you to get a little bit more information that you wouldn't have had otherwise. they're back on the gen. Almost. That was close. That was really good. Nice. Good down. Yeah, this is a pretty good position to be in. Now, the one thing I will say, you want to hook next to the gen that has that much progress, because notice they're already blowing it up. There's a hook right next to that gen. You want to place her right there, because then that will make it so you can defend both at the same time and you're not spread too thin. But because you're going over to this one, you're actually losing even more gen progress than you would have had lost, and that also makes it so that they can safely do the gen. They can also safely save because both locations are spread out. I do notice that there's a little bit of hesitation going on. I will say it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to go the wrong way or something like that, or make a mistake, because that's how you learn. In the future, obviously, you'll get more confident with it over time, because that's with anything. You're gonna the more you do something, the easier it becomes. So in this instance, you'll be fine. Like that right there was perfect. This right here was perfect. This is exactly how it should be played. Because you get the hit, you're like, all right, I already know where she's gonna go. She's gonna go to the pallet, which you already know she's gonna immediately slam it, because of course they will, right? Then you're like, all right, I'm gonna follow through this way because I know she's gonna go to the right. This is good. Now leaving her on the ground is a smart move. You know what I mean? Because she doesn't have any hook states. So that's smart. All right. There we go. Okay. I see him. Okay. Nice. I would just leave her on the ground so you can focus on somebody else. Because there's like a Kate that's on death hook that you might want to kill first. You're getting thrown off by the scratch marks and stuff like that. Like I've said, this is going back to the same tip I've been saying over and over and over. If you see that the scratch marks are going this way, assume that they're gonna want to like a rat. They're gonna want to run along this wall here. I would try to like I've said, you want to follow along that the side of that path and kind of see if you can get them cut them off. Because if you stop and then start looking at the wall or something, they're gaining more and more distance. So you want to look fast, keep walking, look fast, keep walking, because you got to keep in mind, you got to stay mobile, you got to stay moving, because at any moment they can turn around and go somewhere else and you won't even know. So you want to make it hard for them to do that. Now, this part is a little bit of a harder situation because you're spread too thin with the gen spread. Now, thankfully, this gen is regressing, and they're also fully resetting. So it's going to be a lot harder to defend these. Good hit. Good hit as well. Now, in this situation, I think you're going to end up losing one of the three gens regardless. I most likely would recommend trying to commit to killing the Kate so you can at least get a kill. Ooh, okay. Good. Okay, nice. That was perfect. Another thing I might recommend is maybe experiment with the colors of the scratch marks. Maybe it might make it easier to see as well. But maybe purple's a little bit too light. Like maybe you want to try something a little bit like darker, or maybe something brighter, different shade, you know. They got different colors. You know, and that's the great thing about like with games and stuff when you learn, is like you kind of see what you feel like works for you, you know what I mean? Like maybe I like purple, but someone else could like green, or someone else could like, you know, orange or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's really cool. Good swing there. That right there was what I was mentioning in another review. Like you can kind of like your swing kind of lingers, right? Because look, you start swinging, right? And look, she's going to the left, but you were like, nah, I'm gonna follow her. Like heat-seeking missile her with the pizza knife. Like, yeah, like you can see it right there. So perfect. That's literally what I was saying in another match. He's like, nah, you're like gonna launch him into the egg, dude. And she got chopped up, yo. I forgot they haven't fixed that thing where he looks up at the sky when he does the Mori. I don't know why that's a thing. Such a weird thing to have. Nice. That like there was a crow that went off there. Oh my. Very close. Nice, you got a Mori.
Yes.
That should be the last one, I think.
Louder, please.
I like his voice lines. Let's go ahead and continue on and let's take a look. Potion and level. All right, let's take a look. So Claude was running like random perks, it seems like. It looks like we're gonna live forever, and I forgot the other one. It was forgot the name of that aura perk, but like it helps you see injured survivors. And then botany level 2. I think that's Kindred. That looks like Deja Vu Kindred, and I don't know what the other one is. But this Fungmin's got like 3 different like forms of aura, and maybe a gen perk as well. Deja Vu again. Like, yo, Deja Vu is common throughout the game, bro. I've been saying this for so long, and it's crazy that it only gets proven again. Windows here with Bond. I think that's Kindred as well. I don't know what that other one is then. Slippery Meat, Wiretab, and I forgot the other Ada perk, but you get like healed if somebody gets hit near you. Yeah, the builds aren't too bad. The builds are not too bad, I gotta say. So hopefully like these have been pretty helpful. I'm gonna do the last one, and then we'll see how that goes. Yeah, smart move. Launching the axe out, beautiful. All right, I you know, that's crazy stuff, man. Nice. All right. Now I would make it a habit, if somebody's dropping the Shack pallet, break it ASAP. Like you want to break it as soon as possible, because it's such a strong pallet. Like 100%. You want to break it as quickly as you can. I think the only character that you really want to keep Shack Pallet down for is the Doctor, but we're playing Springtrap, so I would highly recommend breaking that Shack Pallet. Because leaving it up is going to cause a lot more damage to you than it is to them. 9 times out of 10. My, that gen's almost done. And that was Merciless Storm that just activated over there. Yeah, going to the... Ooh. Cancel it. Cancel it. Yo. Nice, bro. What the hell? Yeah, that was a cool move. I'm glad glad he freaking used it, because like I swear, like you normally don't see a lot of new Springtraps use that. That's really good. All right. So far, so good, I would say. At least in terms of like trying to keep up with the pressure and kind of going around using your teleport, like using what you got, makes sense. You know what I mean? You want to keep looking around, just kind of seeing what's up. Now, for this, I would just immediately leave, because you can hear like the gen's right there, like when you come out the door, so you would be able to hear it when you walk out. If you have your headphones on, of course. So they just got Merciless. I would go to that gen over there. I would not. I would immediately go over the left one. You don't. I would not want to go all the way over there, because that gen is 99 and it got blocked. I would probably try to go over there and see if you can catch them, because that's like 2 gens 90% completed right now. Here's also a good spot. You actually can hear them coming up. And this is why I keep saying, like, you want to focus on getting your hits as the #1 priority, because you know this character may have a teleport, but he's not like Blight or something where he could fly around. So you want to be able to quickly like be like, all right, I hear, like if you can use the headset, have it, you know, have your headphones on, listen in, and be like, all right, well, I hear them touching a Jenny. I'm going to, you know, try to see where they're at, you know, yada yada. Which is rule of thumb for anybody who's like watching or listening to this. Rule of thumb, like, you know, use the headset, get your volume up, like make sure you can be able to hear. You want to be able to do that. Well, Lightborn actually got some value on that. Now, one thing I would say with flashlights, I wouldn't recommend looking like to the left or right. My best recommendation is looking down or up. In some instances, when you're breaking a pallet, at least you can avoid the blind to an extent. With Lightborn, I mean without Lightborn. If you look up as well, that also works. You could look to the side to an extent, but if it's like multiple flashlights, you risk like raising the blind meter. And you don't want to do that. But that's just like a side note, like you can just keep that in the back of your mind. That's not really like applicable to this. So this right here is what bites you in the ass later, because if you had broken this pallet earlier, you wouldn't have been able to vault that. So you might have been able to get the down on this. So you know, I'm saying if you see Shack Pallet, then you gotta break it as soon as you can. Shack Pallet is like #1 priority. You have to break it unless you're playing Doctor. You have to break it every time. Good hit. All right. Basement hook is an interesting choice. Mainly because you might be able to get a play off of this if you use the axe when they're coming up the stairs. So I do think that that could be an interesting play. I'm not sure if it's possible yet, but it is something to keep in mind, I would say. But they're probably gonna run away, obviously. Nice move. All right. Only had your axe, you probably could have threatened to get the down there. Damn, if only you had your axe on that situation, you might have been able to down her over the pallet. That's crazy. You might have been able to if you had recalled it like before she reached it, maybe. Like as you like I think as you walked out the door and recalled it, you might have been able to down her with the axe. Which is unfortunate. On the right hand side, you hear her like she's crying pretty close by. You almost, hold on a minute, she's right there by the trash. You can hear it, like I hear it in my ear, like I don't know why she walked out like that. But anyway, now obviously like some of these tips are pertaining to audio. Like obviously I don't know the situation when it comes down to like being able to hear the game, headset, headphones, whatever. If you can get like a pair of headphones to like plug in or something like that, that obviously will be very helpful for you. I think there's like some pretty budget friendly like headphones you can get to like plug into your controller, especially if it's like an Xbox controller. You might be able to do that. Hopefully like within like less than $20. If you can, you know, of course, something I would recommend, because it would make it like, it would make just hearing the game a lot easier, and it would make things a little bit better to work with. And that's just people in general. It doesn't pertain to just the person that we're reviewing here. That can be for anybody listening. Make sure you're able to hear. Oh no, because the scratch marks are like right there. Keep going, keep going. You got it, you got it, you got it. Right on the, right there. There you go. I'm talking like it's live, but like, yeah, like, I can see the improvement from the first game to the third game. Like you can see the difference. It's very nice to see. And to think it's all like in consecutive, like one after the other. You know, it's really nice. The one time Lightborn be coming in clutch, man. Lightborn be coming in clutch. I would run it more if I had characters that didn't need like 3 perk slots to do something. Good hit. A bit is my best, and I think you're doing it. Yes. I don't even have to say anything. That's perfect. Do you commit here? Can we claim? Yup. Oh yeah. This is so good. Oh yes. Wait. Downer, please. No. It was so good. Okay, so from this position here, you don't want to follow through to the right because then she can vault that. You want to go to the left. The left cuts off her option from vaulting the fence. She'll have to go toward that pallet. If she's going toward that pallet, or she tries to run behind you, you can automatically down her. Now, as you can see, because you went to the right, look at what happens. Now she's like, haha, I can make the fence. And then like a, like you see it, right? I'm gonna make it, and then she like flies off, right? That's what I'm saying. It's weird, and this is why like I find so interesting about this game is like there's so much like little tiny little pieces of information to like that you just find out, or like you just like you can retain or whatever have you, just off of just like repetitions and things like that. And this is one of those examples. In this situation, everything was beautiful, right? Even the throw, I was like, hey, that's pretty good. Like you could have caught her. But because you went to the right, now she vaults. It's so crazy when you think about it. But anyway, point is, you want to go to the left on that situation. And then obviously because you did like that, like because you're doing that thing where you're like moving your camera when you're swinging, notice that your swinging is going to the right, then to the left. So even if you like, if you had just pathed it straight up and then just lunged straight, you would have been able to catch her because she's going to the window. It might have still missed, but you would have had a better chance than like, because the swing went to the right and then to the left of the actual area that you're trying to hit regardless. So in this situation, it would have missed even if you had the right distance, because your knife isn't even going into the direction it needs to go. So hopefully that helps. Nice. I'm liking it though. I'm liking the recalls. I'm liking it. It's really good.
I hate you.
Close. Got caught there with the really bad movement. Yeah. Like that's something that you'll get over time. I would just recommend like trying to be steady with the right stick. Try to be steady. You don't want to like try to like push it too hard. You want to have a little more like want to be a little more like, you know, have a little more finesse with it, because you know, with controllers especially, like your range of movement is not very high. So like a lot of movements are going to be very heavy on the direction that you're pushing. So you want to push it a little bit less so, and be a little bit less firm, depending on the sensitivity that you're using, so that you don't have like situations where your camera's like kind of going all over the place. And that's something I would say, like if you can try to test it with just different sensitivities, you can try to test it like if you want to try a high sense, but like you can practice around that. Like it takes time, of course.
Don't move.
All right, so we're checking back here. Oh, you could have grabbed him actually. What? I think you might have been able to grab them. And I don't know if that was you speaking there, because I heard like a what? What? You could have got like what I would have recommended is when you see a situation like this where their back is to you and there's only one, and I have to preface this, if there's only one survivor on the gen, what I highly recommend doing is you want to try to get as close as you can and tap the R2, or the RT rather, and then you could get a grab. If you hold down the button, you're not gonna grab. That's just how the game is. If you hold down the button, or the trigger rather, you're not gonna end up grabbing. You have to press it. Like you can like click it, press it, whatever the, you know, pop it, twist it, pull it, whatever the, you know, whatever term you want to use. But the fact of the matter is you don't want to like hold it down in this situation, because you can't pull them off like directly, and then it could save you some time. Another thing you could do as well is you could recall the axe and like launch it at them, which could allow for if they let go of the gen, you could just like hit the press, now hold, press the RT, and then you can do the animation where you jump scare them. What? Close. You just have to get a little bit closer. There you go. You'll get used to it. It's okay. it takes practice, like, you know what I'm saying? But over time, you're gonna really get used to gauging the distance on that, and you'll be good to go. So that's like 2 people by that hook that was there, from the save or whatever. But at least in this situation, it's a little bit tricky to work with it. And that's potentially why I think what the best situation was is to go back to where that Dwight was at the hook, because they just immediately saved as you were walking away. So that would have been an opportunity to potentially get a grab. I don't know what you call it, like, you know, the jump scare. I don't know Springtrap mates call it like a jump scare grab or whatever have you, but you could potentially have gotten one if you launched it into one of them, whether it be the person off hook, whether it be the savior. You could have been able to get a jump scare, grab them, put them on the hook, and then you would have been able to at least have something to work with there. It's not a lot, you know what I mean, but it's something.
Here.
Try to leave.
Grab it. There you go. Beautiful. Don't do it. Don't drop. No. 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 Oh no. No. I'm being dramatic, but you don't want to do this, because if you drop, she can crawl away if you start hitting people, and then out the exit. And then if also on top of not only that, if you pick up again, she's gonna get more wiggle progress, which means it'll be even harder to reach a hook, which means she could probably fly off your shoulder and then she can still escape. I would have just committed to getting that hook, and to try to pull them out of the gate, because keep in mind these kinds of, like, a lot of teams want to get all 4 out, so you could potentially bait them to want to come back in, and you could get another kill, maybe. But because you dropped them now, like, you're losing. Like, now she could crawl out. Like, it's not a good move. Now I wouldn't stand there. The Sable's on death hook. You can confirm her if you just grab, if you throw an axe at her and jump scare her. The Claude escapes if you do this. I would not recommend that at all.
Oh, come on!
Yeah. So hopefully that kind of explains, because I can hear the crash out at the end there. So hopefully this explains it. So okay, let me try to rewind it so you can kind of get a little bit of an idea of what I'm referring to. There was a play to be had around where the Dwight was hooked, but you obviously don't get that there, because you're already across the map. So now we have Claude. So we're gonna proceed from here. Claude, you're like, all right, she's walking. You get the axe, you throw it in her. Beautiful, right? You have the birthday party add-on. She can't escape.
Try to leave.
You get the grab. Beautiful. All this is beautiful. Oh, perfect. That's all you need. But then you see this person right here, and then this is when the issues arise, because now you're getting a little too excited, getting a little too bloodthirsty. You gotta, you can take your M1, but you gotta be like, all right, there's a hook right there, like past the fence. I have to get there first. You have to get there first, because that is #1 priority. Because if this person doesn't have any hooks, of course, but like I've said, you can potentially get them to leave the gate, leave the area, or try to run back inside, and you have an add-on that literally gives Blood Warden when somebody has an axe. So that could allow for an extra down or two. That could allow for an escape. You don't know. And the problem is, you're like, okay, I see 2 of them, I'm gonna drop her. You can't do that. because like I said, wiggle progress is a thing. If you committed to getting the hook, maybe the Fungmin would have stayed, or maybe the Dwight would have stayed. Who knows, right? But you dropped, and that was the first mistake. So then you started standing here. That's not what you want to do, right? Now, already, like it's a bit hard to kind of reverse this. She's gonna escape no matter what in the situation because of the fact that there's still 2 people with full health alive. You need to have your axe ready, but because you picked up again, now she has an additional wiggle progress. You're swinging at her, then you're dropping her again. So that's going to be because she first wiggles when you picked up, then you drop, you picked up again. That's more wiggle progress. So let's say that's 30%. Then you dropped her again. Say you pick her up again, that's over maybe 50 or 60% wiggle progress. Maybe even more, who knows? Then she's running behind the wall because she's safe, obviously. You get the hit, which is good, but the next best scenario would be pull your axe out, right? You know what I mean? Pull your axe out. The next thing I noticed that you were trying to do was Mori. Now, if you look at the HUD, the Mori's not ready yet. As you can see by the hook indicator next to the gate exit symbol at the bottom left, it's not ready yet. So because you started swinging, look, now it activates. If you waited 1 second longer, right, you can see right here, look, and wait for it. You started swinging way too early, because look, right as you were recovering, that's when it allowed you to do the Mori. Then she already hit the exit. So hopefully that helps break down like where the mistakes were made. Hopefully that helps, you know what I mean? Hopefully that really helps, because you know there was like a couple different ways that it could have gone, and I think, like I've said, just getting that hook when you had her on your shoulder would have just been the best play, because at the end of the day there's still going to be someone escaping. Like, you just can't prevent that from in this situation, you know, considering all the events that led up to this. So that's sort of my hot take on that. Let's go ahead and look at the builds. My hot take. My hot take. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue. So we have somebody with Sprint Burst and Vigil. Believe it or not, it's meta. You know, people try to say it wasn't. It's meta, as we can see. We have Any Means Necessary and Visionary. Visionary, I believe, gives you auras like on all gens, I think, if a gen gets done, something like that. So that's free info. Lithe, Resilience, Iron Will, and Hope. So on top of the fact that the Sable was like, I think 7% faster or 5% faster than normal, it would have been even more difficult to get the hit. So I would she would have been priority to an extent. But you had your axe. So if you used your axe, you might have been able to grab her. To think, if you threw the axe at Sable and she tried to escape, you could have like blocked the exit gate from that. But you didn't use the axe. Dwight had Boil Over, Bond with Proof Thyself and Windows, so his build wasn't very chase oriented. It was just a little bit all around. And then Claude had Borrowed Time, which is really unfortunate. Streetwise, Self-Care, and Sprint Burst. Little strange build, but it makes sense. And I forgot what this like pizza leftover pizza plate add-on is. I think it's recovery speed. But my final thoughts, obviously, you definitely want to spend a little more time like trying to predict movement, like I've said in previous matches. Like this third match, I would say, like in terms of like game sort of fundamentals, definitely an improvement. I will say that there is a lot of potential there. I would say keep at it, keep honing it in. Like, you're going to be able to really shine when you apply some of the tips that I'm saying. And hopefully that helps. You know, hopefully that helps. And it's probably a lot of information. It's probably a super long video. But hopefully that helps. And yeah, Appreciate you submitting this, and hopefully other people can watch this and also learn a couple things as well.